Okay, first off, this video is spoiler free. Tell him, Bowser.
It's spoiler free.
Super Mario Bros. Movie. What did I think of it? I honestly saw the critics' reviews beforehand and was wondering why they were bugging so much because this movie was very good. That's my quick and easy thoughts on it. If you are on the fence about seeing this movie and you're a Mario fan, go see it. This movie is visually spectacular. I mean, everything from Brooklyn to the Mushroom Kingdom to, the other locations featured within the movie, it looks like Mario. Actually pretty amazing how well Illumination Studios got this down. And I'm proud of, Nintendo for coming in and supervising this. Miyamoto was an executive producer in this project. And they definitely got the visuals right. I know people were on the fence about Mario's design at first, but it's not jarring at all. The Mario brothers look amazing, and so does Bowser, but the environments, the lighting, the look of the mushrooms, even Brooklyn in general. Considering I don't watch a lot of Despicable Me or Minions movies or anything like that, I think Illumination outdid themselves in this particular regard. If you just want to see a pretty movie, this is probably it, because I think animation-wise, it looks pretty spectacular, and I'm wondering if it was going to win some awards just for the animation and visuals alone. Which brings me to the story, and much like Mario games, this story is very simple. I'm not going to spoil it here in this video, but the premise is that the Mario brothers are plumbers from Brooklyn that find themselves in the Mushroom Kingdom. They get separated. Luigi ends up being captured by Bowser. Mario has to work with Princess Peach and Toad to go and save Luigi and stop Bowser from his conquest of different kingdoms. So that's pretty much it, and they stick to that. There's a few of comedy moments and introductions of characters within that, but for the most part, I mean, it is more or less like a Mario game. Here's the goal and go do that thing. And I haven't looked a lot into the critical response of this, so I'm wondering if the critics thought that the plot was too shallow. I would say that, but I'm not expecting any groundbreaking stories within a Mario movie. I do think some performances were better than others, right? Like Jack Black does a great job as Bowser. I initially, when he was casted, I thought that he would just put his own voice to Bowser. And I was wondering how that was gonna work until I saw the actual trailer, and he adds the intimidating gruff into his voice, but also keeps a comedic stance on it at the same time, which is, that's quintessential Jack Black in a sense. But honestly, he does steal the show, and I do wish that there was more Bowser within this movie. There's not enough, in my opinion. So hopefully, if they decide to do more movies in the future, we get to see more Bowser and have Jack Black just really go to town with it. But as far as that, the other performances, Chris Pratt, I know he was a controversial pick, and honestly, people were a little annoyed by his voice and things like that. I do think that some of his lines are a little cringy, the way he delivers them, but it's not distracting. It doesn't take me out the element. I'm never sitting down man, this is not Mario. I think the direction that they took with this character, you can accept it. It's acceptable in the sense of the movie version of the world that they're trying to build. So much like the Sonic movies, you're gonna have something totally separate, I think, from the games, unless Nintendo decides to kind of fuse the two, which I don't think they're gonna do that moving forward, but we'll see with the next Mario game. But Chris Pratt, based on interviews and his performance in the movie, I can tell that he wanted to put his best foot forward. I think Chris Pratt is the last person I expected to be playing Mario. But at the same time, it does work because I slept on this. But much like when you're playing a Mario game, you don't necessarily think about Mario. You are just controlling Mario and getting him from point A to point B. And the characters around him seem to get more of the spotlight than Mario himself until, I guess, maybe the end or the showdown with Bowser. But much like those games in the film, Mario works as kind of that medium to introduce audiences to the Mushroom Kingdom or, Brooklyn in general, this fictional Brooklyn. So while Chris Pratt's not doing an Oscar-worthy performance, it does work in the context of the games. It's just you're not zeroed in on Mario 100% of the time, and you just kind of feel his presence as a medium guiding you through this plot and these characters in this kingdom. So it works out somehow. Charlie Day as Luigi, I know a lot of people were looking forward to that, and he does a pretty good job. There's not much more I can say about it. They picked the perfect person for Luigi, and I think he carries that role very well. And then you have Anya Taylor-Joy as Princess Peach, which I think she did a good job, but I think Princess Peach, again, is a little bit different than how she's portrayed in the games. And I don't mean the strength of the character. I'll talk about that in a second. But Princess Peach is a very different type of Peach within the confines of this movie. I can't really compare her to her game form, where she's a little bit more graceful and princess-like. This kind of shows her more as a ruler, and of course she's guiding Mario through these things, as you've probably seen in the trailer. So it got a little controversial where they say, oh, well, how come she's not being kidnapped, or how come she's teaching Mario how to do these things? And there are moments where the Peach scenes do overshadow the Mario brothers a little bit. So I don't have any issues with her personality or her being that wartime princess, because we do see some games where she has to step up and, you know, she's a part of the cast. Like, she can flip around and hit blocks and do everything else that the other Mario characters can do. So that's not the issue that I take, but I think that there is a lot of scenes where she does overshadow the Mario brothers a little bit, and I would have loved to have seen them work together a little bit more within this movie. But I'm not gonna go deeper into it because if I do, it's gonna be spoilery. So, and Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong, I think he had a lot of fun in that role. I mean, he does do the Seth Rogen laugh every so often, but I guess he has to do that in every single animation or movie that he's in for some reason. But some people don't like it. I was totally fine with it. I think he does a great job. I'm not gonna go into the Kongs. What I might do is just make a whole separate video at one point, kind of breaking down the movie versions of these characters and, you know, what's different within the confines of the movie and the games, etc., and maybe where they draw some of those influences from. So if you want a video like that, let me know in the comments. But yeah, these characters are definitely different from their game versions, but it's not jarring where it's like the original Super Mario Brothers film where they take total creative liberties over the characters and change them into like King Koopa and all those guys. This is very familiar, but at the same time different. I think that every Mario fan will enjoy something out of it. That brings me to the Easter eggs and all that. A lot of people say there's a lot of fan service. I think it was the critics that mainly say it. It's fan servicey and yada, yada, yada. But I welcomed every single one of those Easter eggs. Keep your eyes peeled. There's things going on in the background. There's signs, there's musical cues, and shout out to the music composer, by the way. I think his name is Brian Tyler. So the composer for this movie is credited as Brian Tyler. Like, they'll take the original score and remix it to fit these scenes, and I think it's done very well. They do credit Koji Kondo as a composer for the movie too. I'm not sure if he was involved or they're just crediting him for the original compositions, but they do an amazing job of setting the tone, and you're gonna hear musical cues from all types of games within the Mario franchise. But definitely keep your eyes peeled because they draw Easter eggs from old classic Nintendo games, classic Mario games, Donkey Kong games, unrelated Nintendo games, things like that. All of that's packed in there, even a Charles Martinet cameo. So I think any fan of Nintendo franchises are gonna enjoy that aspect of it. I found myself distracted and looking around for Easter eggs the whole time, but there was a point in time where the movie stopped doing it so that you can enjoy the plot a little bit. So it wasn't too distracting where I'm just like, okay, what am I missing next? It did get to the point and the plot kind of carried the movie for a bit, but then they started introducing some more Easter eggs toward the end and stuff like that. I know there's like videos out there like, hey, every Easter egg you missed in Super Mario Brothers film. We ain't doing that around here, okay? But with that said, this was a love letter to the Mario franchise. Like, there's references spanning from the very first Mario game, from before that, even like Donkey Kong, all the way up to Super Mario Odyssey. There's something for every generation of Mario fan within this movie. So I think the critics were a little too harsh because they didn't look at it for what it was, and it's a celebration of Mario and video games. You know, if you are a Mario fan, this is definitely a movie that you should go see. And if you're not, I think that you're gonna have an enjoyable time with it regardless, because it does enough and it doesn't overstay its welcome. It's an hour and 30 minutes. This is not gonna be a groundbreaking movie, but it's good to see Nintendo bring their place into this movie universe, much like Sonic is doing, and you know, other video game franchises are beginning to establish themselves now. I think that we have the right flow. I'm not even gonna mention the video game curse because I think that was killed a long time ago, so I'm not gonna rehash that. But it's great to see Nintendo finally throwing their Mario hat into the movie ring. It's been 30 years since the last film. I mean, not counting Detective Pikachu, but the last Mario film. And I'm glad that they decided to step forward and try this out again, because this could open the door to other, you know, very popular franchises. And I would love to see their take on a lot of those things. Though I would like to see them try out different studios, you know, depending on the franchise. But as of right now, it's yet to be seen. But if you want to see more Nintendo movies, I think you should go and support this movie as well. And if you're a huge Mario fan, make sure you stay until the end of the credits, like the very end. I know there's like the mid credits and then the end credits. Stay till the very end. There's an ending scene. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I have nothing else to say. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. And until next time, be safe. Profit.